I've had an interest in organizational meetings for quite some time and done some research in that area. This particular study is focused on a concept called multicommunicating, which is the practice of carrying on multiple conversations simultaneously using technology. And I'm especially interested in it in the context of meetings. So this research was based on some qualitative research that had done a really nice job of identifying different types of behaviors that are really quite communicative, that help us understand how multi-communicating might actually take place, the actual things we do when we carry on these multiple conversations. So in this particular research, what I found is that there are 5 different factors. And in those 5 different factors that make up the communicative behaviors of multi-communicating, the first one is information. And we'd expect this. People seek information in meetings, and they also receive information from others in meetings as well. The second factor that I found that really contributed a lot to multi-communicating is this notion of supporting others. So quite often we send supportive messages or we receive supportive messages. The third factor is influencing. And I think people do a lot of this in meetings, and definitely that's what my scale items showed, is that those are also a valid component of multi-communicating. The fourth factor, participating in parallel meetings. Increasingly what we find is that people are carrying on these conversations, sometimes 3, 4, 5 meetings, all at the exact same time. And when they're not co-located with others, they actually bounce back and forth between those parallel meetings. And sometimes they do that in front of others as well. The final factor was actually one of the most interesting, and at first I was really curious because it doesn't seem very communicative, and it has to do with remaining available. But in every study I've done, this seems to be very important. One of the reasons that we use our technologies is so that even when we're in a meeting, other people can reach us. And sometimes those other people are our family, and sometimes they're other work colleagues. And so we see this intermixing in between in that 5th and final factor. So with this measurement scale, what I'm really hoping that it will allow people to do is to take those 22 items and measure things that are interesting to them. So for example, it's highly controversial today whether or not this type of behavior, meeting multi-communicating, is rude. Are people not paying attention? Is it something that shouldn't be done? Or I've also conducted interviews with people who say, you know what, this is the way work is today. We have to be available. We have to bounce between meetings that are simultaneously scheduled. That's the reality of the situation. So not only do they not view it as rude, but I've interviewed some people who view it as productive in their practices. So I also hope that people will link this to things like meeting satisfaction. Do people enjoy their meetings more when they are able to multi-communicate? Or are there specific behaviors in that scale? And it consists of 22 different questions. So are some of those questions contributing to their meeting satisfaction, their meeting productivity more than other questions? So I'll just give you a sample. One of the questions that's on there is make sarcastic comments during meetings. It's very much a reality. I don't think it's always it always hampers productivity. As a matter of fact, it could be something that allows people to blow off steam and thus make meetings more tolerable in certain circumstances. This is definitely an emerging concept, multi-communicating, and so I really hope that the scale provides a way for us to actually go out and measure these behaviors and link them to other important outcomes. So this particular research has come out in Management Communication Quarterly in May of 2012. And I look forward to seeing other people use this research, and then I'm also working on several other studies that will build on this concept as well.